Hey everyone, Christopher Ruocchio here of Sun Eater, and it's nice to see you. I barely made it to September here, and almost almost forgot I hadn't done one this month. So I thought I would sneak one in. Sorry, it's later than usual. My poor wife broke her foot, and so I had to schedule this until definitely after the kids were asleep. But here we are. Helped Casey catch the beginning of the stream though. Did you finish, Casey? Did you finish reading Nidus? Hope you liked it. Just curious. I should have bothered you sooner, but it just occurred to me. Anyway, it's good to see everybody again. Now, if you are new to the stream, we usually don't have that many spoiler questions, and I tend to ignore them anyway. But let me make sure. I see the signal is dropping a little bit. I think I'm gonna see if I can drop the video a little bit. It looks like it's about as low as I'm willing to go. So we'll see how it goes. I should have better internet than I used to. AT&T and I, we'll see. But anyway, was lucky to get an ARC for Shadows from Neck Alley, 45% in. Your work is excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Jenna's doing all right. It's not fun. It's not fun. But it was a relatively clean break and a relatively minor one. Her mother broke the same foot several months ago, and that was much worse. So we have a frame of reference for how bad it could be. But she's fine. But Jenna's okay. It's just going to be about book release time by the time she's on her feet again. So we'll see. Halfway through Howling Dark, should you stay or go? You can stay. So let me explain. I try not to answer spoiler questions at all, and weirdly, we talk about almost everything else instead on these things. But if we do a spoiler thing, what I'll do is I'll put this Chiron on the screen. I'll try to answer the question as quickly as possible and then remove it, so you can mute actually, and you should be pretty much okay. I can't protect you from people in the chat, of course. But yeah. Nidus is the next Adaman story. I sent it to Casey to read, because Casey is helping me sort of organize the world Bible for Adaman so that it's got less holes in it from the beginning. And he read the fifth story. I finished reading all the Adaman stories today, and now stream. Great day indeed. Awesome. Hope you like them. You did read Nice. Awesome. Very cool. We'll talk about it later. I just was curious. Where's everyone in their pre-Shadows reread? I'm about halfway through Howling Dark. I am not rereading, for the record. I am doing something else. I'm playing Silk Song mostly. Will the signed pre-orders from Quail Ridge be delivered on release day? Before, after? After. I actually am going there tomorrow to have a meeting about when we're going to do the signing and stuff, because there's more than 3 times the number of book 7s for me to sign than there were for book 6, which is amazing, but it is more than I can do in one day. It's more, I think I have more to sign there than I signed. I went up to the Penguin Random House warehouse earlier this week, and or last week at this point, and signed there. I'm signing more at Quail Ridge than I signed up there, which is pretty cool. So no, they won't be able to get them to you on release day. That's the downside, but you will get them signed. But they should have them a little in advance of release day, but there's no guarantee that your books will be in the first batch that I sign, because I'll probably have to go back and forth a couple times to get through what they've got, because the difference between the Penguin warehouse and Quail Ridge is a working store that have customers tripping over things, and it's they have much more limited floor space. That warehouse was really cool though, man. They process 1 million books a day in and out of that place. It was enormous. It was just really Alexandria had nothing on that warehouse, let me tell you. It was really cool. Anyway, wish I could convince you to do the release 1 week earlier. I'll be in Charlotte. There's no way I could convince anybody to do the thing 1 week earlier. It's I didn't pick the date. I'm sorry to miss you though. But you're flying back to Texas. I will be in Dallas on the 21st and 22nd. My best Barnes and Noble is in Dallas, and the regional manager is a friend and a big fan, and he organized 2 events for me out there, which is why there are 2 Texas events. But I will be there. We just posted that today, so I still may catch you if you don't mind driving to Dallas. But are all the Adaman stories on Patreon, or is that still in the works? They are not all on Patreon. The final versions of Barrow King, Wages of Sin, and Pilgrim Road are on Patreon. Nidus of Von is not on Patreon at all because I wrote that for Grim Oak Press. It comes out in December. That's what Casey was talking about. And the Shrine of Lost Stars, the rough draft, which is basically the same as the finished draft, is on the Patreon. But it's tied up in a Bane Books anthology, so the final can't be shared for a little bit, a couple months, and it can go on the Patreon. And then I was gonna write a 6th one in December, but with all the stuff that's going on, I just don't think I can squeeze it in. But I want to write more. There'll be more next year for sure. But I need to kind of make some progress on the new series, and so I'm putting my attention on that in the next couple of months, because there's there's gonna be so much to do with book 7 and the release that trying to like really get a bunch of like clean technical work done is hard, but a lot of outlining and world building stuff I can do. It's different kind of flow. So I spent most of Monday drawing a map. I got a big Bristol board and I've been drawing maps and stuff. Can I come to both Barnes and Noble signings in Dallas? Absolutely, if you want to, for sure. I have a question. Is the Jadian language inspired or based on a real language? I think it is. Yeah, so the Jadian language is sort of a mishmash of Farsi, Arabic, Greek, and sort of Italian and Spanish, in the same way that English is a Germanic and a Romance language, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Hades 2 is better than Silk Song. I doubt that. So I played Hades 2 in early access. I played Hades 1 100%. I played Hollow Knight 100%. I haven't played Hades 2 with the new release yet. I love the 2 Hades games. I have some quibbles with the presentation of the mythology, but I love those games. I think Hollow Knight is the better franchise across the board, but I also prefer that kind of game anyway. I'm not a big roguelike person. I like them fine, but Metroidvania, side scroller, platformer, way more my thing. Anyway, I probably will never come around to that belief, but I love both. I love both franchises. So my nits to pick with Hades are very minor, just as a classicist. We got a super chat here from Paul. Can't hear anything because I'm at Yankee Stadium, but wanted to tune in and shout out my boy Yossi. Well, thank you, Paul. Get back to the game, man. Have fun. And thank you for the super chat. Both are great. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Hades, Hollow Knight, both great, but I'm a Hollow Knight guy. It's one of my favorite couple of games of all time. Silk Song's wonderful. I'm having so much fun. Your stories have a great balance of science, religion, politics. How do I maintain that balance? Is it concerted effort or does it occur naturally through the writing process? No, it's not a natural thing. The thing about literature is that it's not an essay, right? It's not an argument exactly, right? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to build a world, and the balance comes from the fact that you're trying to give all the devils their due, right? I want to have characters who align with conflicting sort of schools of thought and cultures and philosophies and right, and to have their arguments play out naturally in their lives, right? But that comes from a sort of deliberate sort of degree of planning on my part. There are a few places where like I have tilted that argument a little bit too artificially, just because I might not have too many nice things to say about X or Y set of ideas or something. But in a perfect world, right, I want to have the characters be as earnest and forthright a set of exponents for whatever their worldview is and not mine, right? And to have sort of the argument, as it were, the statements about reality and belief and about these ideas come through in the action of the story rather than in an argument on the page, right? You can think about the difference between a writer like Dostoevsky and a writer like Orwell. Like Orwell is a polemicist. Orwell is trying to lay out his beliefs and get you to agree with them pretty forthrightly. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, right? But like he is really trying to write an essay more than with, let's say, 1984, more than he is trying to tell a story. And Dostoevsky is not like that. Like his characters are fully embodied people to a degree that Orwell's aren't, right? And I try to be more like Dostoevsky than Orwell. That's not a dig at Orwell either, right? Obviously he's a genius, right? And he's not doing the same thing that Dostoevsky's doing. And I want to be, I want my characters to be living people in a world, and I want, like literally with Sun Eater, I want the text to be an artifact of that world and of that time, right? And that means trying to distance myself from myself, if that makes sense. Can't imagine signing many books. Must cause nightmares. No, I signed 750 in last week up at the warehouse in about 90 minutes, which is the fastest I've ever done. But I had like people helping, and they had like a real good system. They have a lot of practice up there, as you might imagine. And so that went really, really smoothly. And that was, if I'd done like 2 more hours of that, that would have hurt. But that was just about enough in that burst, right? That was okay. But the most I've done 16,000 over the course of a couple of weeks for Broken Binding. That was not fun, just because it was like in my house, and it was like just boxes and boxes of stuff piling up. And although I did use that as an excuse to watch Twin Peaks, so it could have been worse. But yeah. So, cheers from Uruguay. I can't wait for Empire of Silence Spanish edition November. Yeah, that'll be great. I'm really glad it's finally coming out in Spanish. That's been perhaps the greatest disappointment to me, is we haven't had a Spanish edition until very soon. I know my Brazilian friends, if you're watching, we're working on it. No leads yet, but I haven't forgotten about you. We're doing what we can. How long am I aiming for word count on the next thing? I would like to max out at 200,000 words. I want to write shorter, tighter books. Yeah. John, can I speak some of my inspirations, influences on Shadows Upon Time? No, because most people haven't read it yet. I know some of you have gotten advanced copies, but we're not gonna talk about it at all, because I don't want to ruin it for anybody who didn't have one yet. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's funny that last thing there, but I'm gonna also probably skip any explicit Shadows questions, just to avoid, especially if somebody says a spoiler in the chat. I'm not gonna read them. Okay, not that you did, John. You're cool, but like I want to make sure I'm respectful of the fact most people don't have them. Thoughts on Hyperion? In short, Hyperion is great. Fall of Hyperion is great. The Endymion books are not my favorite, but no, Hyperion's awesome. Is there a difference between the sign of the sun disk and sign of ward off evil? Yes, sign of the sun disk, you go like this. If you're on a planet, you put it around the sun, right? In sort of recognition, and you come down, you hit your forehead, your heart, your mouth, you kiss the sun loop, right? And you're done. The warding sign is actually an old Roman one. It is this. The great irony of heavy metal fans is they are performing a apotropaic act of warding off evil rather than invoking it, which is what they think they are doing. And I laugh every single time. I also laugh when they do it in an Iron Maiden concert, and like that's not their thing. And they very pointedly don't do it. So anyway. Now the Sun Eater is complete. Am I taking a break? I'm already working on my next project. No, breaks are illegal. I'm not allowed. I'm kidding. But no, I can tell you nothing about the new series, Max. Nothing. But we'll talk about it soon. But no, I'm working on it. I've already outlined the first book. And I'm pretty excited about it. I can tell you that much. Anyway. Heard about you being in Dallas. I will likely work that day. I'm going to see if I can convince my sister to meet you and send my thanks through her. Well, that'd be very cool if she could come out. I've got 2 events in Dallas though, so if you're not working on the other day, you could still come. The first one's in Plano, and the second one is in South Lake. So, yeah. What is my favorite non-book 7 scene in the series? The Coliseum fight in book 3. I think that was still very much fun for me. There's a lot of stuff in book 6 I really like, but the one that I always talk about this. There are these big scenes in the series that I like obsessed about since I was a kid. Like, one day I'll get to that part, right? And because I had pieces of the series for years and years and years, and that was the one that I thought about maybe the most because I just thought it would be really, really cool. And the thing about writing those scenes is when I finally write them, I stop obsessing about them. I don't think about them every single day. And that's the clearest example of like, I obsessed about that sequence. I wrote that sequence and then it like popped out of my head like a soap bubble. It was just a very clear example of that process at work in my mind. And so it's a very special scene for me personally, just because it said so much about how my brain works. Will there be a book signing in Michigan? There is not a Michigan signing on the tour. The tour is very small. Right now, we have just 3 events. One is in Salt Lake City, 2 are in Dallas. We were hoping to go to a couple other places, and it just didn't work out. And so it's a tricky time of year. Bookstores are not super willing to do a lot of stuff because they've got their holiday displays coming together because it's almost time for Thanksgiving, and it just hadn't worked out. We're gonna try to add a couple more. I don't know if Michigan is on the list. I'm not in charge of it either. My publisher's putting this one together, which is very cool. As book tours like that almost never happen anymore. So I feel very blessed. But it is small. It's just those 3 events right now. Not counting the gala here in Raleigh. Which, speaking of, if you want to come, we are doing this big giant book launch event here in Raleigh. We're renting out Union Hall downtown. We've got a couple hundred people coming already, but we've got room for at least 100 more. There are tickets still on sale. I think the link is in the description down below, but it's highmatterbooks.com, which is my new website. There's a tab for the gala, and you could buy tickets. The VIP tickets are all gone, but there are still plenty of normal seats. And it'll be sort of like a half-day thing. It'll be like all evening. It starts at, I think, 5 is the plan. VIPs, I think it starts at 4. But my wife's putting this together, which is why I say I think, like I don't know, because she's in charge. This is her baby. And it'll start at 5, and Mike from Mike's Book Reviews is coming. He's going to MC the event. Got a bunch of booktubers coming. We're going to do a panel sort of after Mike and I talk about the books and do some Q&A. And then there'll be some food and stuff. It'll be catered, which is part of the whole gala thing. And then it'll end with a presentation on things to come, including that new series y'all were asking about. So that'll be the time we start talking about it. What do I think caused the Hindi intrusion into classical English that created Galstani? That is an interesting question. Largely, the language combinations are the result of how people migrated out of Earth, basically, is the short answer. It's a question of like who got stuck on ships together and how did you come to how did they come, which planets did they come to, when, with whom, right? It's all sort of like that. And I have left a lot of room to make that pretty arbitrary by not sort of over explaining the world building in that period. And because you can get away with stuff if you explain less, right? And so maybe that's where I should leave the answer. Got my second copy of Ashes of Man. Can't believe the end is near. What differences have you noticed your new editor versus the old one? Well, I haven't really started working with my new official editor yet. Book 6 and 7 were edited by Dave Butler, who is a very dear friend of mine. I've known Dave for like 8 years now, and that made it very easy. Dave understands what it was I was trying to do with the series on sort of a metaphysical and like a symbolic level, in a way that my editor on the first 5 books didn't. And so that was good. And we just got along personally, obviously a lot better. Dave's a very good friend, and my editor wasn't. My new editor is lovely, but she doesn't really come on board until the new series. So we've been getting along just great. But as far as editorial input, she'll have a different style, and I haven't really seen it yet. So I've been doing the royal we a lot lately. I think it's because like Jenna's been so involved in the business lately. It feels more like a joint venture than it ever has. But still me doing all the writing. Always will be. But Currently reading Book of the New Sun. Help me get through my wait for shadows. Yeah, that'd do it, man. Awesome. Uh, how did you become such a stud? One day at a time, Lucas. What about you? Uh, Convinced my buddy Kyle to read the series, and he's starting Disquiet Gods. We'll both be caught up in time. Awesome. Red Lesser Devil. Now I'm a Crispin apologist. He didn't do anything wrong. Am I a fan of Coheed and Cambria? I feel like you dig their sci-fi concept albums. I've listened to them on and off. I'm a big fan, not particularly, but I don't dislike them by any means. Any random Rex? Reading Rex. Haven't finished some year. So I am reading. I'll just tell you what I'm reading right now by way of recommendation. I'm reading the Barsoom books. I'm reading Edgar Rice Burroughs' first three. Actually, I have to read the first four John Carter books, and it is super fascinating, right? It, like, in certain ways they hold up really, really well. The prose is incredibly like driving and electric. It like moves really, really easily, which you wouldn't expect from a book that's more than 100 years old. In other ways, it hasn't. But I haven't read them since I was a kid, and I got asked to do an introduction for a special edition of the fourth one, and so I'm reading up to that point to sort of get back into it. And they're really short. And I've been having a lot of fun. I really like John Carter as a person. He's just a kind of character that, like, I don't think anybody could write anymore, because like that kind of person just isn't around anymore for reference. It's just I'm having a good time. It's very fun. So that's what I'm reading right now by way of a recommendation. What Adaman story am I most proud of? Personally, I like the Barrow King. I'm maybe most proud of the Barrow King just because it was the first one. It's also the shortest one. It's hard for me to write anything with a 4-digit word count. I think the one I'm most proud of is Wages of Sin, because it is the heaviest. I hope that I dealt with the subject matter appropriately. Because it's very important to me that I dealt with that carefully. But I think I did, and I think it also contextualizes the setting in a way and to a degree that the first three stories didn't. I've been trying to sort of open the setting out in different directions, sort of with each story. You can imagine those sort of hexagonal graphs where it's like you level, you like push a point out this way and it stretches the thing out until it fills out the whole hexagon eventually. I've been sort of thinking about it like that, and that opened up a direction sort of back in time for Roque and that world in a way that I think the other stories hadn't quite yet, and in a way that maybe Barrow King did the most of, right? Barrow King deals with the idea of the nine and the nine in a way that, like, Shrine doesn't. Shrine's really about the three. Pilgrim Road is about the Corn Empire, but Wages is about the nine again. Knight of Savon, by the way, is about the Corn Empire again. But they all open in sort of different ways, and that direction I think was very fun. And we got to see a Hailing, and that was all cool. I really like Wages, and it was the hardest one to write. And so, having written it, it's easiest to be most proud of the thing that was the most difficult. So it's one of those two. But I share your fondness for the first one. I'm really glad people are reading more of those. I'm excited because Knight of Savon is going in the Grimoire Grimoire for Dragonsteel, and I imagine then that it'll be the most widely read of the stories, so that will be the first Adaman story for most people who will have encountered him. And so it's written kind of as a reintroduction. It touches some of the sort of basic points about Adaman. It also goes deeper in him personally. So yeah, no, it's I think that'll be a fun story too. So December will be a fun little period for Adaman. I really wish I could get that other story out. I might still try, but the ideas I have for Adaman right now are more like novellas, and I just don't have time to do that just yet. So, I think all of Le Guin's sci-fi stories are basically essays. I think that's right. I like them, but they're not my favorite sort. What is an extrasolarian accent? There are a lot of them. But I don't know. I hadn't thought that far. But there would have to be a lot of them. Any hints on the next thing? No. Hints are illegal. Would I ever write an ending for something like Game of Thrones just for yourself? No. I don't understand fan fiction. Like, I don't understand why you would take so much time to write something that you couldn't sell. Like, writing is very time consuming. It's very difficult. And I always wanted to be able to do this for a job. And so to spend that amount of time writing something that I could never use seems sort of mystifying to me. Certainly now I can't afford to write fan fiction. I have to write stuff that I can use. Now, of course, my critics will be like, "That's all you write, actually," and it's like, okay, like you have a 2-digit IQ, thanks. Yeah, no, I would never write an ending for Game of Thrones in anything longer than a Facebook post. I was in the habit for a long time of saying, this is how I would have done, Star Wars Episode 7 would be different. So, I don't do that anymore. I just don't care like I used to about other people's stuff. Am I a big fan of vampires in fantasy? I love vampires, man. Vampires are great. Probably my favorite monster. Maybe. Dragons are cool. But I like vampires. Yeah, I like vampires a lot. Which metal band would be best to do a soundtrack for Sun Eater? Judicator, obviously. What are you guys talking about, Valka? I'm confused. I'm trying to go back and read the chat here. It's too confusing. I can't keep up. Why does the Chandra use classical English for its liturgical language? Excellent question, Stanley. Sorry, I can't answer that one. South Lake 1 might be easier. Is it okay to just bring 7 books? Totally cool. Yeah. So like typical like best practice for going to a book signing is to buy at least the new book at the store, just to support the store who's going to the trouble of bringing me in. But if you have all 7 books already, you can bring them from outside, or you can bring, the 6th from outside and pick up the new one there. That's sort of the way to roll. Have I read City of God? I don't think all the way. I think I've read bits of it on and off, like for school and things growing up, but I've never sat down and actually plugged through it. I really ought to. Any clues on what's in the Gallad bag? Trading cards. But I don't want to overpromise. But we'll make sure it's worth it. The bags are being printed as we speak, I think. So, will the event be live streamed? No, but it will be recorded and it'll get posted later. How long has the idea for the new series been in your head? 10 years. Obviously not in as much detail. Most of the stuff I have generated in the last month, but the basic sort of germ of the series has been around for about the last 10 years. Yeah, since college. How does it feel working on the new project compared to Sun Eater? I don't know how to answer the question really. But do the ideas from the new project go back to childhood too? No. No. I can't tell you exactly where the inspirations are because that'll start giving you clues. But it doesn't go back nearly as far. Like I say, it's been about the last 10 years since I've had this idea. But as far as how does it feel, I don't know that it really feels all that different. I have had a like broad fantasy setting that I've been like a list of place names and things that I've been punting around for ages and ages and ages. Some of those do go way back, actually. I've managed to find a use for old names and things, but I've been really sort of trying to crystallize the ideas recently, and it is a little weird because the weird part is that I've had to do the world building from from, not quite nothing, but like from a blank page at the very least, which I haven't had to do my entire professional career. So there's like this whole extra step. And the weird part has been like, how much time is that going to take, right? But I am trying to centralize a lot of that. So things like timelines and world Bible stuff will be a lot more organized than Sun Eater was. So will there ever be a Sun Marillion? Maybe one day, but not yet. You have not missed the Howling Dark Diamond Edition. We've had a really rough time with that this year, mostly because book 7 has just been brutal. I thought I was going to finish about a month before my second daughter was born. I ended up finishing about 5 months after. Partly it's because she was here, and having 2 kids is, in terms of time management, a lot harder than one, at least in the early stages. I understand eventually they can entertain each other. And that started to happen, which is kind of amazing. It's really the coolest thing. But just watching them, interact. But that took a big chunk out of it, because I had to basically I had to choose between working on book 7 and working on the revisions for Howling Dark. And if you'll forgive me for grinding an axe for a moment, I got a 1-star review on book 7 from a guy who couldn't have read it yet, because all I care about is the Fat Cat, special edition Kickstarter backer readers. I literally put the whole second special edition on hold all year to work on the next normal book for everybody. So that guy can shut up. Anyway, axe grinding done. But it got frozen because of that, and that did allow me to have more time for the artists to sort of work through what they needed to work through. John Ballaran did the interior illustrations, has cataracts, and that was slowing him down, poor guy. And James Cook has a new job that was slowing him down, so the artists were both behind. There were just a lot of issues on the development end of that one, but the text is done. It is the typesetter, and I'm waiting still on 2 more pieces from James, but they're the end papers, so we can at least get the interiors developed. And the interior print file is really the big hurdle for getting the books printed. So we are in the short rows. You'll have news about the Diamond Edition this month. I'm sorry it's taken so long, but I didn't want to take your money months and months in advance again, because I don't have to. I have the money now to do the art and development up front, and I'm not going to ask for money from anybody but the art sponsors until we're ready to roll. So we're almost there. But I'm not happy about how long it's taken. It's I realized in the last couple of weeks that probably the stupid Diamond Edition is the single greatest stressor on my list of things that I need to get done. So I thought it was the new series, but it's really this darn special edition is just killing me right now. Same question basically as earlier. I was wondering if there will be a world guide for Sun Eater or an in-universe author POV plan. There isn't a plan to do it, really. I think it'd be a nice thing to do, but there's no plan. I like writing stuff like that a lot less than I like writing narrative. And so as long as I have an idea for a new book, I'll probably end up writing the new book instead of explaining the old ones. The reality is that as well as Sun Eater is doing, it's not really big enough to make something like Fire and Blood a commercially viable possibility for me yet. You really need a big audience to get a large enough group of people who care about that sort of thing. If you can imagine what the ratio of Silmarillion readers to Lord of the Rings readers, right, must look like, right? And it's not the best use of my time to do a world guide yet. I would love to make one, but it's really a question of time. The thing that's more likely to happen is an art book at some point, but even then that won't be until the special editions are done. So, because we'll have more art, so. Next project will probably be 2027 would be my guess. But yeah, so. Brendan, that is a reasonable guess. Any word on a Broken Binding second printing for books 4 and 5? No, I haven't heard anything about a second printing. They may well do one, but they haven't started. I haven't been given any signature sheets or anything. So I don't know. Um, boom, boom, boom. Mentioned the Diamond Edition a second ago. If you just getting here, Michael, let's get back a couple minutes. I won't rehash that too close together. But soon is the short answer. Any signings around Memphis? No, I'm afraid not. The only signings that we have on the tour are right now. We're hoping to add one or two more. Are Salt Lake City and then two in Dallas because they asked. The other ones we tried just fell through. So there's not a lot of time because the book comes out so close to um, Thanksgiving, and I want to be home for that. So, would Sirianni be a dog or a cat person? Which one would he eat last? That's the real question, right? It's got to be dog, right? They're bigger. Um, um, but what's up, Sam? Finished my reread of the series. Would Jesus be considered? No, no, no. That's a spoiler question. I gotta shut up. But no. With a new series, POV structure, length, etc. Are there any old writing muscles you have to strengthen again? Probably, but I haven't discovered them yet. I haven't started writing. I've been so I guess the answer to this is yes. Like I haven't drawn a map in like 20 years. I'm not counting the sort of star chart layout for the artist who do the galaxy map, which was not really the same thing. Like I've been sort of relearning. Like I drew a lot of fantasy maps when I was in middle school, high school, and I'm not very great at it, but I'm better at it maybe than most writers trying to do it themselves. Um, I wouldn't be ashamed to put it on Instagram, right? It wouldn't be a work of art, but it's like it looks okay. Um, and sort of flexing those muscles again has been fun. Um, but um, but yeah. Is the new series going to be first person POV? That's how could I answer that question? Um, there shouldn't be a ticket, Nicholas, for the Texas events. You should be able to just walk in. The reason there's a ticket for the gala in North Carolina is because like it's a whole evening and there's like food and there's a bar and you get stuff. Like it includes the book and all of that. But if you just come to Barnes and Noble in Texas, you could just walk into the Barnes and Noble. Anybody can walk into the Barnes and Noble and pick up a book or not pick up a book. You could just sit there if you want. But there are no tickets for the Texas events or the Utah ones. Is there a reason for the naming convention is off for Howling Dark? You say all the others are noun preposition noun, except for Howling Dark, well, or Disquiet Gods, right? And the answer is there was no titling convention for books 1 and 2. By the time we got to book 4, it became clear that Howling Dark was special, and the solution for that was to make book 6 also special, so there was a symmetry to everything. Because enough of you were pointing that out and complaining about it, that I needed to I needed to assuage everybody's OCD a little bit, and I thought that there was something nice to that too. The original plan was for there to be 4 books, and there wasn't really there wasn't a structure for the titles or something. We just hadn't thought that far. And so now there ended up being the symmetry over time. And now that's something I think about and worry about all the time. I've been sort of going back and forth with my editor about titles for the new series, and this has been a primary concern, because the sort of similitude of the titles communicates that books belong together. And so whatever the naming scheme for the new series is going to be, it's not going to be the same as the Sun Eater rules. So next thing probably be 2027. Yeah. Is there any spoiler in Murdered Sun for the rest of the series? No, Murdered Sun is just the rough draft of Empire of Silence. It's actually quite different after the first couple chapters. So success is mine. I can't answer that question because some people haven't read up to book 3 even. So I can't read that one out loud. Um um do, 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 do. You never read the comments. I tried. I've made it impossible to read most of the comments, but like the sort of high level things get to me anyway. If there's like a, should I deal with this issue or not? But I tend not to read any comments anymore. My ultimate goal is to read nothing, relating to my work ever. But there's there's a certain amount of public facingness that I have to do in order to do the job at the way I've been doing the job, at least. But one day things will change. Was there a reason behind giving Ashara 6 fingers? Yes. Kathy Davis, I feel sorry for the princess. She really does love him. Yes, she does. Yeah. Is there an update on the website? An update for what? Sorry to hear about the special editions stressing me out. I just don't want to let you all down. It's a lot of knives to juggle, and they're all very sharp. There won't be tickets for the Dallas event. There are, like I say, there are only tickets for the Raleigh one because we are feeding you all. Yeah, getting pit tickets. Yes, yeah, it's that kind of show. Can you talk about all the Star Wars prequel memes you've had in Sun Eater? I do not remember all of them, but the sand one had to be intentional. They're all intentional, except that there are 2 another addition to my collection memes in Howling Dark. I didn't mean to do it twice. Books are really long. I forgot I did it once already. But the joke was that there was 1 prequel meme in each book. And sometimes there are more than 1 because I have an opportunity. I can't help myself. But there is at minimum 1 prequel meme in each book. In the same way that Star Wars says, I have a bad feeling about this in every movie. There's 1 in each book. There are a lot of like once per book jokes. There's a Shakespeare misattribution joke in every book, except the one time when it's not a misattribution. Yeah, but no, of course it's intentional. Are pancakes still a thing in the world of Sun Eater? Why wouldn't they be? Absolutely. Whatever writes some non-genre fiction? Probably not. I think I've said this before, but like human beings don't really interact with the material world. We interact with the world of sort of symbol and perception, right? This is very clear if you like watch. Sounds bad, but like if you watch kids, right? If you watch them learning about stuff, they like figure out what something is, like a cup, right? By figuring out how to use it. They don't figure out the material, like they don't think about atoms, right? They don't know about them. Unless they're my daughter, right? And you watch too much Magic School Bus. But like, you look at how to use stuff, right? And you relate to the world in terms of how things interact, right? And I've said this before, like the symbols of mythology, if they are not real, right, represent that symbolic reality in visually concrete ways, right? Like a dragon, right, symbolizes the predator, right? It's like the super symbol of all predators. Can't remember who it is talks about this, right? There's a book where like a dragon is like a snake, but it's like a cat. It's also a bird. It's also fire. It's also like a predatory man, right? It hoards wealth and women. And so it represents all of those things. And to the extent that you interact with those things in reality, you're interacting with a dragon, right? And that's sort of how we think about things and think about fantasy in particular. And I think that science fiction is fantasy fundamentally. Because it does the same thing, is it concretizes all of those things, dragons, vampires, right? We talked about monsters earlier, and makes them real in the narrative, right? You have that story about Tolkien. I say this all the time, right? Watching with Beth and saying it'd be better if the trees actually moved, though. If Birnam Wood did actually come to Dunsinane Hill, that would be better. That was the inspiration for the Ents at Isengard. And fantasy is better than non-genre fiction because it brings that symbolic world closer to reality. It makes it real in the story. And so fantasy is more real than genre fiction, right? Because it's better. A story where a guy literally fights a red dragon, right, is dealing with the idea of fighting dragons more concretely than the Thomas Harris novel, right? As much as I love Thomas Harris. And It's just cooler if the dragon is a dragon than if the dragon is a serial killer. Although the serial killer book is really great. So no, I think I'll always write science fiction and fantasy because I think they're better. But yeah, so Kathy, you don't have to camp out, see me play now. You can just come on in. It'll be cool. Have I ever read Elric? No. I have never read any Moorcock actually. Do I accept fan mail? Yes. Yeah. There's the mailbox is on the website, I believe. But you can also email me too. Did you hear about the loophole for arcs from? Yes, I did. Yes. A bunch of people, my US publisher is not giving out e-arcs, but the UK one is, and people have been spoofing that. Yes, well played, everybody. Tea is the best beverage. Hadrian is wrong on that one. Tea's okay. New website says the lore page will be updated, and there are some pages that were in development. The plan is that we're going to start posting some of the trading card lore pages that I've been writing in the new lore tab on the new website, but it's not up yet. My poor wife is dealing with the book launch gala and the Diamond Edition rollout, so we can get those things ready before we update migrate the old card pages over, and we're going to make some of them public for people who don't have the cards, even so you can at least read the content. But that'll be soon. It's unfortunately it's not a high priority. The high priority is getting the event to happen and the Diamond Edition for Howling Dark out the door. So yeah. If there was one character from another series you could bring into Sun Eater, who would it be? It would be Paul Atreides, so that I could really deeply explain to everybody concretely how this is not Dune, because people still don't get it. And having Hadrian explain to Paul why they are not the same would maybe finally get people to understand that it's not the same book. I just like shields. But does Hadrian's story end with a final book, or are there other books planned involving him? There are no other books planned concretely yet, let's say. But I would like to return to the universe and intend to do so. Let's see. Curious how you handle the Adaman stories and how you reintroduce the character and world each time, and to what extent you feel that's necessary. You touched on it a bit earlier. Yeah, I mean, a certain amount of it is necessary, right? I have noticed in writing the 5 that there is a degree to which they resemble one another, because the same sort of beats explaining who Adaman is happen a couple of times. And the way I try to differentiate them is by hitting the same notes at slightly different angles. The example that's coming to mind really involves the one story nobody's read yet, which is really frustrating. Let me think here. The sword, right, gets reintroduced basically in each story, because it's like pretty essential to understanding not just like who Adaman is, but like how he fights, right? And so those two stories I mentioned earlier that probably the most to do with one another are Wages of Sin and Barrow King, because they both, more than anything, go into Adaman's history personally, right? And especially his early history, and because of that, there's a little bit of repetition between those stories, but the virtues of Barrow King are that it's actually pretty short. Where Wages of Sin, even though we readdress a lot of the same stuff, there's a little bit more context, and a little bit of the subtext is text. And so for returning readers, they get a little bit more, even if it's of something they already basically have the idea about. Now, the danger there is that you can say too much. And with his early life, especially, I don't plan to ever write that stuff, because I don't think I could. And I certainly don't want to. And And so it's really a question. Like I said earlier, you've got that sort of hexagon thing. You kind of like broaden the world out this way. But there's some overlap in how you do that, right? You touch on old things again in bringing new things in, so that you can reward the new readers, right? Well, you reward the old readers for coming back. They get new stuff, right? But the new readers hopefully can keep up. And the reality, the thing is, right? And I don't know that I'm perfect at this yet, or that I can be, is that most writers just don't trust readers enough, because you can actually say almost nothing and readers will get it. And I've said before, this is like the great weakness of Lovecraft as a writer, right? Is that he just does not trust his readers at all, right? You read like The Alchemist and he explains the plot twist in block capitals because he thinks you won't get it. Now, like partly, like maybe he deserves a little mercy there because he's writing in the 1920s and people didn't understand, the genre conventions yet, because he was like literally working to make them, right? And partly, like, I personally think Lovecraft was on the spectrum, and I think he was having a really hard time trusting that normal people understood what he was about. And so I think there's some. I think I think if you like, you look at his biography, he has trust issues, let's say. Anyway, but like, man, he like really feels the need to hammer home and explain everything. You don't have to do that. Gene Wolfe is like living proof, right? And it's actually like better if you don't. It's better if you leave stuff to inference. And it's okay. It's okay, right? If people don't get something. Because like maybe their friend will get it and they have something to talk about. And that's actually better. And I've been trying to veer more on the side of saying less. And a big part of the project with the new series is to say even less than I already have been. And that's partly why I want to challenge myself to write shorter books. We have such a fetish for longer books, and in fantasy in particular. And it's a vice, and we need to be broken of it. So I'm gonna try to write shorter books. The outline came in pretty short, shorter than Kingdoms of Death in terms of number of chapters. But that doesn't mean anything. The chapters could all be 10,000 words, and I could be just as long as book 7. We'll see how it goes. So, who knows? How much do I think about symbolism, or do you just include certain things because they're cool? I think about symbolism constantly. That doesn't mean I don't include things just because they're cool. But those are not mutually exclusive things. That Venn diagram is not two circles. Would I ever put out the first draft of books 4 and 5 before they got split? Since we did the Murdered Son. No, because Murdered Son is actually, in terms of content, different than Empire of Silence. The back 2/3 really are like a completely different book, whereas the combined version of books 4 and 5 is just a shorter version of the two books together, and really it's missing like the first half of Ashes of Man, basically. So have you ever read anything by Stephen Donaldson? I've heard good stuff about the Gap Cycle. I read like a fifth of the first Thomas Covenant book when I was like 13, and I didn't make it very far because it was a little bit too adult for me at the time, let's say, and I did not go back. It's one of the 2 books I returned to the store because I decided on my own recognizance that I was not grown up enough to be reading it. So, are there any nobles in the Empire that are still adorators, like crypto adorators? Probably yes. Would I describe Hadrian as a hero? He is the hero of the story. Certainly is technically a hero. But yeah. Yeah, Simmons is certainly an influence. One of my favorite POV in Hyperion, The Priest's Tale, is my favorite one. Followed by the poet. Martin Silenus is probably my favorite character though. But in defense of Lovecraft, people think Sun Eater is Dune. Yeah, true. Um, uh, I noticed in reading Conan lately, Howard writes many of those stories from another character's POV and can introduce Conan that way each time as if it's the first time. Yeah, that's like one move you could do. I thought about doing that, but uh with Adaman, but I decided not to because I uh I just decided not to. I think I would rather build him up singly rather than view him from the outside. That doesn't mean I won't ever do stories from other POVs in that setting. There are other sort of major characters who are going to start cropping up in these stories moving forward, but for the foreseeable future, Adaman is confined to shorter forms. I'd like to write a book one day, but we'll get there. Any plans for new Sunday shirts? Yes, just haven't gotten there yet. Got another super chat. Mal Rubius. So much already happens in your books compared to other authors. I'm very excited to read something for using this less is more approach. I just hope I can make good on it. That's the theory, but I don't know like what that is going to mean when the rubber hits the road. You know. Do, 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 do. Have I read any of Simmons' other work other than Hyperion and Ilium? No, I've confined myself to science fiction. Will you be able to purchase hardcovers at your signings? Yes. He's the hero of the story. What Frank Herbert failed to understand. Yes, but he didn't fail to implement it though. Like Paul is the good guy in the book, actually. Uh, he then just has to explain. No, I didn't mean it in the sequel. That's all. Am I announcing my new series soon? Like after book 7 at some point. Yes. Um. Uh. Uh. I don't like Count Orban's portrayal in the new Nosferatu. Okay, so we finally had like a date night, my wife and I, to watch Nosferatu, and then we promptly fell asleep. So I turned it on. It's not anything to do with the movie that I fell asleep. It was just a very dark room, and I was gone. So I haven't gone to finish it. But in terms of like watching the thing I like about Eggers is that to a degree that basically no other director alive is capable of, he actually cares about history. And so I watched the like costuming little featurette and stuff, and him talking about them talking about referencing Dacian and Romanian nobles and bringing in like reconstructed Dacian dialogue and stuff like that is all like, thank you, that's great, right? um Absolutely awesome, right? With like the haircut and the mustache and the like long sleeves and all that stuff, very cool. So who's my favorite villain in Sun Eater? Sirianni is my favorite. Karn gives me conniptions. He's such a difficult character to deal with in a way that like Sirianni just isn't. I'd never had trouble with Sirianni at all. Um, Even in book 7, when it should be very, very, very difficult. But every scene it's been in has been great, good fun. Just a real sparkling personality. So yeah, no, it's always been my favorite one to write. So I personally, so okay, don't understand how you can write that scene where Paul talks Gertie down from the thing with Jessica and believe you're writing a warning against charismatic leaders. I don't think Herbert thought he was doing that when he was writing Dune. I think he like sort of memed himself into believing this in the process or after the process. But that's I think he convinced himself to tell himself so. Um, I think he convinced himself that this is what he was doing later. Personally, now I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. There's clear biographical evidence that's not the case, but if there is, I haven't seen it. But I just I think that the seriousness of that book is mostly an artifact of fandom and had very little to do with the original drafting of the work, if that makes sense. Um, um, do, 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 do. um, Do I think the original Karn Saga was a good man? Um, uh, are we not all, are we not all originally good men? Um, but the question is, when did he stop being one? So, do, 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 do. You think there will be a bigger threat to the center universe? You know, sure. What I mean by that, I won't explain, but sure. Could be. Um, do I prefer the supporting cast, the Red Company, or the like latter group? Um, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, like, I like all of them, obviously. I think like I know there are some people who don't like Cassandra for some reason, but I think that I like Cassandra probably the best of all of the supporting characters, actually. Um, and so for her alone, I privilege the last two books, the group of the last two books. Um, but I don't know. She's in a lot of ways the most important character in the series. Um, so yeah, it's hard for me to choose the earlier group for that reason. But like I love a lot of the early characters, obviously. So I've heard Fitzpatrick War. No, I have not. That's Judson, right? That's a Daw book. But no, I haven't read it. Uh I am also always confused when people are very down on Hadrian. I don't understand. I don't understand some people. Can't believe Hollow Knight stole the Watchers from you. Uh, stole the Watchers? Cassandra, the real narrator, confirmed. No, no, um, no. Why did I call Minos' organizational lodge? Maybe I just really like Twin Peaks. Um, but Hadrian is in Silk Song, confirmed. Yes, yeah, I am though. I haven't left Silk Song. What a great game! I'm completely mystified by the like this game is impossibly hard crowd. Like, have they never played a video game before? Like, it would be hard if you'd like never played Super Mario before. It's not that hard, right? Some like sure, I've been refighting the same boss for like an hour a couple of times in the game, but like that's video games. What is? I just don't understand. I don't understand that this game is too hard conversation. Um, it's very baffling. Um, just finished Shadows. Wow, what do I do now? Sit and think for a while, and then let me know what you think. Thanks for reading, Dom. I hope it sounds like you liked it. Thanks for reading. Which one of the Mino sorcerers would I choose to be if I absolutely had to choose? Um, uh, trying to think like which like set of weird augmentations I think would be coolest. I like Gaizka a lot. Because he's got like the spooky spaceman helmet, but he's like all noodly. I think he looks cool. Um, um, but yeah. Did Hadrian ever find out why Trudman blocked the door? Probably. As the father of two daughters, relationship because Hadrian and Cassandra is my favorite in the series. Well, thanks, man. Liked it a lot. Well, thank you. That's what we wanted. We used to do Path of Pain runs, and now we are complaining about difficulty. I don't get video game fans, man. I really don't either. I remember. So I bought the there's a company called Tune and Fairweather that does fancy books. They're basically all Dark Souls lore books. I bought their Elden Ring book, and it's wonderful. I have some quibbles with the formatting, things I would have done a little bit differently, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book. I don't like the magazine 2 columns. That's really my one quibble. The art's all great, right? The construction is magnificent. But I was looking at the comment section, and people were just like, a book for $300? That's ridiculous. And it's just like, oh my gosh, these Philistines, they just don't understand, right? You can make a book a lot more expensive than that. But just reading the comment section, I was like, I'm so glad that I have to deal with readers and not gamers, because you all are so much, even when there's intersection, right? Obviously, I am both. I was like, much rather my people than the people in this comment section. They're just so ugly about this book, and they did such a lovely job. They didn't understand why the delays were happening. I'm like, you don't understand. I mean, almost nobody understands like how difficult and tedious like high-end print manufacturing is. It's just a nightmare. But like, man, but like, yeah, like the people just complaining the game is hard. Like, great, awesome. Have you played a Pokemon game lately? Neither have I, because there's nothing to play. They're like, forget being for kids. They're for babies. Like, they're just so easy. There's no point in playing the game anymore. This is true of like almost anything. I was at least pleasantly surprised the new Mario side scroller had some levels that were like not, beatable on the first try. It's just everything's gotten so simple, and I think that I think Silk Song is perfectly appropriate. I've never felt like a death was unfair ever. The whole game. Some of them were incredibly frustrating. It's like, oh, I should have hit left like slightly before I know exactly why I die every single time, and it's always because I put something in wrong. I never felt like anything was cheap. It just, the whole discourse around this is just infinitely frustrating to me. Now, same thing with Shadow of the Erdtree. Not quite. Not quite. A couple of the bosses were, I think, there were some balancing issues. Commander Gaius can get right out of here. Leave. Be gone. There's some really great ones. Midra was amazing. Bale was great. Rolana was great. The Lion was great. Radon was a bit much. I beat him pre-nerf. Beat Radon pre-nerf twice. But the first Radon fight didn't need to be nerfed. I think that was unreasonable. But the second one, that one wasn't perfect. But I love Shadow of the Erdtree. But Silk Song is perfect. It's great. Do the names in a Cosmist map onto the names in the novels? Yes, but there's probably like one or two that don't. I'd have to look again, but like broadly, yes. The final night of Hollow Knight, final boss of Hollow Knight, and then on to Silk Song. Awesome. They're both great. Both just so good. Just want to say I love the Sun Eater series and one of my favorite authors. Well, thank you. How far? Stanley, I'm gonna skip that one. I'm gonna wait. Let's talk about that after book 7. Book 7 may answer your question. Is Tales of the Sun Eater getting audiobooks? Yes, the plan. Now that the series is done, one of the things I would like to do next year while I'm working on the new series is get an omnibus of all the Sun Eater stories together in a single volume with the earlier books, Tales 1, 2, 3, some of the stories in 4, smoosh them all into one volume, write a couple new stories, and release that so that you only have to buy one audiobook instead of 4 or 5. That's why I've been doing it this way. It made more sense when I was starting out. When I did the first Tales volume, it was shorter than my novella, and I felt bad about asking for money for it because it was so small. So I did it digital only. I made it pretty cheap, and I left it at that. And my plan was I would get all the stories together and do this. And now I'm finally in a position where I can do this. So, yeah. How do I approach making a character feel so revered and larger than life as you do the Emperor? I don't know. The thing about monarchs is that they don't get to be people, right? People think it's good to be king because they've watched Mel Brooks one too many times, right? And look, I love Mel Brooks, but like, I'm just making the joke, right? it's not really good to be king. It's actually pretty awful, right? And the only way to make that existence bearable is good character, right? Is to like do the job because you want to, because you genuinely care. Otherwise, like it would probably be a soul crushing, miserable experience, right? And you like really have to rise to the occasion to not be crushed by it, right? And I think with William in particular, I've tried always to be cognizant of the fact that there is a person in there, right? But he's like so far removed inside of himself that like he like it's hard for him to see a way out of the giant suit of armor that is being the emperor, right? And the distance between the office and the man is something I think about a lot with all of these characters. And and you see this with like the expectation on the pharaoh to act like pharaoh, right? Pharaohs were expected to not emote, right? And if they did, there was a question of whether or not they were really pharaoh, right? And that sort of principle, even in other cultures where the idea of the god king, right, isn't present, right, um, still matters. You still expect the character of the emperor to be different from the character of the man, right? And in places where that doesn't happen, right, where you can't play the game, right, those people don't make it, right? And so I'm really thinking about all of that, right? And the distance between the office and the man that I bring to bear with William in particular, because William the man is probably quite a sweet, decent person, actually. And it's probably very hard for him to do the job, but he knows the consequences of his failure, right? Pretty sharply. And so that's what drives him to be himself, right? Um, you should write a kid's book one day, yes. Um, have I played Dark Souls or Bloodborne? Yes. All of them. I didn't play Sekiro. It came out at a weird time. I skipped it, but I've played everything since Dark Souls. I bought Dark Souls on release day in 2011. I had a friend who was a real big Demon Souls guy. It's like you gotta get it. So I'm an old Souls fan. Would I recommend reading after Book of the New Sun? Oh, you should read Book of the Long Sun. Well, you should read book. You should read Earth of the New Sun. Gene Wolfe said that it was like optional. And that really the ending is you only have to read the 4 books. That's true. You can if you do the archaeological work, you can get the whole story by reading just the 4 books. But Earth of the New Sun is amazing, and you should knock it out. So. Novellas too, right? That won't be in that omnibus. No, that would make the whole thing like 500,000 words long. No, but they might get their own wrap up eventually. But Emperor is awesome, maybe the best character in the series. Oh, I'm glad you like him. He is he is like hugely important. Uh, Oh, hey, Daniel. If Adrian was dropped in 2025 with his resume, what industry would he get into? City settlement and thoughts on the world. I mean, I think if if he arrived here with all of his knowledge and it was obvious that he was from the future in some way, the job he would probably end up with is locked in a government facility somewhere. Um, uh, but I don't know what he would want to do. As far as city settling, he seems inclined towards Seattle or ish weather. So maybe somewhere up that way, or like in the UK before its heat wave. But thoughts on the world, he would be pretty baffled. I don't know what would baffle him the most. Probably how we could fit so many governments onto one planet. But it's hard to know. And in prison. That's the right answer. That's the right answer. Uh, do, 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 do. In area 50, 51. So Um, how do I write such long books? One day at a time, bro. It is. You're not. No, you're not. You might not be underwriting at all. I might be overwriting. But I'm glad you don't feel like any word is wasted. We cut a lot out. Book 7, we cut like 70,000 words out, 80,000 words. I can't remember how many at this point. But I still bet we could have gotten a few out. So, but the only way to write anything, right? That you can't write in one sitting is one day at a time. I write like 1 to 2,000 words a day, and that feels like not very much to me, but apparently that's more the sum. So, yeah. Do, 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 do. Is the Synarch's title of First Among Equals welcome to reference the Patriarch of Constantinople's title of the same name? That is probably where they stole it from. Yes. Will I still write a Valka novella? I would like to. I have not been given the opportunity at the moment. I signed a contract for the new series, so I have to do that before I do extra stuff. But I would like to. Yes, I would like to go back. I don't think I would like Sekiro, actually. The thing I'm worst at is parrying. That is not how I play any of the other games. So I don't think I could do it. Yeah. Of course, I think I'm ruined because I've been playing Iron Eye so much in Night Rain. I've like all of my instincts are bad now because my instincts are, at range. I switched back. I was playing as Wilder for a bit, and I was like, I forgot how to play Dark Souls. Oh no, it ruined me. Writing a novella. It was a short story. I wrote a short story that takes place after book 7. But do I have any plans for writing more novellas during the early point of Hadrian's career? I don't have. So maybe this sounds. I hope this doesn't sound too offensive, but like I don't have any plans for more Sun Eater stuff at all at the moment. My attention is 100% on the new thing, and like the Adaman stuff. I owe Patreon for next year. But like I have a contract for the new thing, so I need to focus on that and fulfill those obligations. So, um, uh, I was thinking Hadrian would say I'll rule them myself type energy. It's possible. I mean, maybe he would be some kind of big tech guy and use that as some sort of Ian Banks culture scheme to take over the planet. Who knows? But I'm with you, Serengale. I don't think that is what Hadrian would want to do. Favorite Brandon Sanderson book? I have not read any Brandon Sanderson books actually. I read like 2 chapters of Elantris because my roommate tried to get me to read it when I was like 19, and I never finished it. Because I don't like it when people like try to force me to read things. So I was pretty maliciously compliant. How many books is the new series planned to be? It is a trilogy. I think I can say that. What is my charm layout for Silk Song? I don't remember everything off the top of my head, but I'm running the Reaper Crest because I'm that guy. I get it. That's like the baby one apparently. But I like it actually. I like the slow move set. It's nice. And I like to like kind of float on the pogo. It's great. It feels very nice to hit people with it. But I've been using the poison thing. I don't remember all the names. And I'm using I change my red tools a lot. I use the red tools a lot. I've got the cog flies I've been using. But I don't remember. I just got the reserve mind from Second Sentinel a couple days ago, so I've been running that, which has been helpful. So, yeah. Ever played Lords of the Fallen? No. I kind of want to. But they almost got me when I guess technically the second one, but the first one of sort of the relaunch with the Fear of the Dark trailer. I was like, my people. But then I forgot about it and I didn't play it. But am I going to write another space opera? One day, maybe. But if I do, it'll probably be in the same universe. I don't intend to really keep at it. Sorry, I don't intend to. Sorry, I'm getting tired. I don't intend to like reinvent the galaxy over again. I just don't. I don't think I could really at the same level of detail and resolution. I also don't think I need to. I think it would be better if just all of my space opera projects tied into this universe in some way. But yeah. So done. Daniel says done historical inspired space opera. Any desire to write a space western? Also be fascinated to get a horror book from you. I don't know. Like, I feel like I already wrote some horror books. But like I will. I like horror, so like that's not impossible for sure. I think it would still probably be like a sci-fi horror or fantasy horror in some way, right? Like I don't want to do contemporary world stuff because it's basically because I'm lazy and I don't want to do research. It's a lot easier to make stuff up than it is to like worry about whether or not there really is a pizza parlor on that street in New York or something. I figure there probably is. It's New York, right? But like, like that's a different skill set, right? That's why I'm so in awe of Tim Powers, because that's a skill set I just don't have or don't want to have. I don't want to have to go and like walk around and do research and figure out things, get things correct. I'm happier making it up and trying to fit pieces together and to sort of move things around. But as far as space western, yeah, I think I could do something sort of in the Cowboy Bebop, Firefly range and still have it fit in Sun Eater, actually. Going to a different point in time or a different part of the galaxy in some way and making that sort of work. Because really, like the Western, there's a sort of, it's really about the ethos of the main character, right? It's the sort of and about the general vibe of the setting and things. It's sort of the frontier thing, but it's also the sort of like lone ranger kind of energy to it. I think I could do that very easily. But I won't come back to Sun Eater immediately. The new thing is its own creation. And then when I finish that, I would like to come back and do some like standalone things, and maybe some of those would be Sun Eater things, and maybe some of those would tie into the second series, and maybe some of those would be other things. But I want to do some smaller things. I wanted to do standalones next, but they really wanted to do this trilogy, so we're doing a trilogy. Do I find it helpful to read my contemporaries, or do I stay away from that kind of thing? Increasingly, I feel like, yeah, I just stay away from it. The only time I read contemporary works lately has been to blurb them, like if the publisher asks me to do something or if a friend asks me. But I mostly feel like it's a bad idea. Because I just I just don't want to. I don't want to be unduly influenced by stuff that's happening like right now. Right. Same reason, like if somebody wrote fan fiction, I would never read it because I don't want to like pick something up that I like shouldn't. Right. And like, well, where did I get this idea? I don't remember. And it was like from somebody else. I just don't want to. It's fine if that person is dead. Right. Especially if they're super dead. But like, I don't want to grab an idea from somebody who's like working right now and be like, Christopher, what the heck? And it's like, I forgot where I read it, or that I read it. So I almost never read contemporary stuff anymore. I read a lot of nonfiction. But I stopped mostly reading sci-fi and fantasy completely, to be honest with you. Unless it's like for a specific work related thing. Already feeling dread with how much he's going to hurt us at the end of the book to the new trilogy. I'm trying to think if I will or not. Probably. We'll see. Would I write alternate history? Probably not for the same sort of. I never say never, right? But probably for the same sort of research reasons. Maybe eventually I will feel like I have enough time and peace to try and like do the research, but like I just sort of don't feel like I have the space to do it. When writing, I assume you mean Kingdoms of Death. Did you think about dropping in a warthog for Hadrian to navigate through the Tamerlane? I got so many Halo vibes. I did not. It's funny. I love Halo, but I don't think I thought about it that much. Orion, what is up? Who are my favorite musicians while writing and reading? I don't listen to like I listen to like soundtrack music when I write, and I didn't do that until very, very recently. Because I usually just talk to myself, but increasingly the sound of shouting children downstairs, I need to use my headphones. So I have no choice. But I listen to soundtrack music. I don't listen to stuff with words because I will pay attention to them instead of my work. Uh, did I ever read Elric? No. I have not read any more Cock actually. So your Cowboy Bebop is a perfect 3-word pitch. My wallet is waiting. One day, one day. I love Bebop. It's a masterpiece. Um, See you, Space Myrmidon, 100%. I won't read my frustrated Hadrian working at a Wendy's drive-through fan fiction. I might make an exception for that, Daniel. Favorite period of English history. Probably like probably early Plantagenet stuff. I think is really cool. Those guys are all like I like Henry II a lot. I think he's an interesting character. I love the 100 Years' War, right? That's of course that's French history as well too. But like all that stuff's really cool. Just sort of going into the High Middle Ages. The High Middle Ages are, as the kids say, such a vibe. And so unlike their Hollywood depictions. It's just such a cool period, just kind of generally. But yeah, that'd be my part. I know Albert's devastated because I just picked the French part of English history. I didn't mean to do that. But like I do like that period a lot. Before Henry VIII ruined everything. That's my answer. Don't clip that chat. What did I say? Did I take inspiration from the character of the Invisible Man when writing Orlo in Kingdoms of Death? Yes, obviously. Just join. I want to say thank you. Reading your series got me to explore the Bible. Man, that's awesome. Yeah, trying to understand true suffering, and I went back to church again. That is awesome. I am so glad to hear that. God bless you, man. What is my favorite period in history? Anything other than Greco-Roman stuff? Well, to answer your question, my favorite period in history is sort of the early Eastern Roman period. I love like Justinian, right? That the sort of early Constantinople, right, period of Roman history. That's really my jam. I do also like the Punic Wars, like the earlier Roman stuff. But as far as like non-Greco-Roman stuff, like that's obviously my area. But I do have a similar degree of fascination with Mesopotamia in the early, sort of history of that region. So the sort of Sumerian and Akkadian periods, I think are really, really cool. And just all that generally. I have a bit of an Assyriology streak to me. But I'm not as versed in that as I am in the Greek and Roman stuff because it's like what I went to school for, So, but I like a lot of that stuff. I'm reading a lot. I won't say that actually because like it'll be a clue. You almost got me. Luca. But yes. I also I like the Age of Discovery a lot. Just whatever, like it's a complicated period. People have strong feelings about it. but the characters, just the idea of the exploration itself is very romantic, right? That you're trying so hard, right, to go so far out into this world that where people have not gone that far before and they have no idea what's out there, right? Like that is very exciting, right? Actually, right? And it's the closest thing to like an alien first contact that's actually happened too, right? These two halves of Earth coming together. It's a very electric period in history. It's very fascinating. And it coincides too with early modernity, right? And the end of the Middle Ages, and everything is changing. Everything is changing. It's such a dynamic moment in human history. And it's one that I think we mostly understand pretty poorly in the modern world anyway, because there are all sorts of pressures on it that like nobody talks about when they complain about Columbus Day. It's much more complicated than Twitter would lead you to believe. But yeah. Can I post a Disquiet God synopsis like I did? Yes, I plan to. Time is really short right now. At the moment, things are a little bit rough, and for me to have time to sit down and write a summary and record it has just been a tall order. I really want to do it before the book is out. It is on my to-do list, but like things have been hard. As I mentioned at the top of the stream, my wife broke her foot a week ago. And so time has been tight around here. That's why I started this thing so late. And I do need to go relatively soon. I usually stream until 10 o'clock. And it's 10:30. So I'll do a few more questions and then we'll wrap it up because I gotta go. Did I watch that Worldcon author panel last month? I did not watch it. I usually I'm not a panels guy unless they like make me be on one. I saw Ryan after it though, and I heard it was a good time, and I like Adrian so much, who moderated the whole thing. So I probably should watch it at some point, but it's not been a priority. Yeah. I could write a historical fiction novel, the setting you're already familiar with. Yes, I could. That would be one way to do it. Can you add a +1 to your VIP ticket? I believe you can. Yeah. And if you have trouble with it, just email us at contact@highmatterbooks.com, and Jenna will be able to help you out. Albert mentioned Albert's my guy. He's my favorite Englishman. By the way, I might be interested to hear that a very talented indie writer, Isaac Young, has said he's resigned, getting compared to you for the rest of his career. Well, he sounds like a lovely chap then. So, no, that's cool. Good luck to Isaac then. Really hope Broken Binding will do another printing for 4 and 5. That would be great, but I haven't heard anything yet. Oh man, I love Dracula. I'm sorry you're not enjoying it. I like Dracula a lot better than Frankenstein. Can somebody still get their stuff for a VIP gala if they can't make it there? That is a good question. I think you should probably email Jenna at contact@highmatterbooks.com and figure out what the answer to that is. I don't know. We might be able to work something out. Quite like Dan Jones' new Henry V biography. I need to check out his other Plantagenet books. I should. So the same thing with non-existent influences you experience is happening, except I'm the non-existent influence this time. Oh, poor guy. That is the worst. It is really, really terrible when people are like 1 star. This ripped off a thing the author has never heard of. That's literally the worst. I want to shake those people until their teeth fall out. But I have so far refrained. People say write what you know. I write what I don't know and then learn it from mean beta reader comments. Yes, many such cases. Many such cases. Found a historical Easter egg in Kingdoms of Death. There are 2 legionnaires named Galba and Otho, who were the first 2 emperors of the year of the 4 emperors. Was that intentional? Yes. Those are almost certainly not their real names. And Hadrian is like, I will just give them names. And these 2 names kind of go together. Yes, I'm so glad someone finally noticed. Is it too late to order a signed copy of Shadows Upon Time to get for release? No, you can totally do so at quailridgebooks.com. We will do that. Christopher Lee or Peter Cushing. Oh, man. Christopher Lee. They're obviously both the greatest of all time. But the name on the spine of the end to write it, Empire of Science is horizontal. Is a plan to do that for the rest of the series? Yes. I adore Frankenstein. If Dracula is half as good, I have to get on it soon. I think Dracula is a much better novel than Frankenstein, personally. I, controversial opinion, believe that you can tell that Frankenstein is written by an 18-year-old. Now, she was much better at 18 than I was at 18, but I think you could tell. But I don't think it's bad. I just think I think Dracula is a much stronger book. Dracula is certainly a lot more like the story that you're sort of familiar with going to. I think that's part of my upset is that as a kid reading Frankenstein for the first time, I was like, this is not the story that that I was told. But Dracula is largely the story that you've dealt with. But I do think that Stoker is the better writer. I frankly don't think it's close. Of the romantics, I'm a Byron guy. So of that group of the romantics, obviously Keats is the greatest, but he's not. They're not really friends. So yeah. But and I want people to be like, oh my gosh, Christopher thinks he's better than Mary Shelley. That's not what I'm saying. I do think you can tell that that she was 18 when she wrote it. It's not as polished as other things. So oh man, live right when I need to go to bed. I don't like being an adult. I have to go to bed too, so don't worry, 27. I am right behind you. We could do maybe, what time is it? 10:32. Let's do like 3 more questions and then let me head on downstairs because I gave up playing Hollow Knight tonight for you guys. Because I realized I was out of September and I had no further excuses. But I would like to go to sleep so I can maybe play in the morning before I have to do stuff. So I need to go to bed soon. So right there with you, 27. Claire Obscure yet? No. No Claire Obscure yet. I had to play Hollow Knight. So Claire Obscure will wait. One day. I plan on playing it, but Hollow Knight so I played the first Hollow Knight when Empire of Silence came out. My friends all stayed over, like my sort of old group of friends all came back to Raleigh to celebrate. They stayed in my apartment with me, and one of them was playing Hollow Knight. I was like, this looks amazing. And this is coming out right as the series is done. Like, I'm playing Silksong. It was perfect timing. Perfect timing. And so I get to finish the series as I began, and by playing a Team Cherry game, and that's great. So, it's cool. It's cool. And besides, that was a real bravura move. Hey, this game you've been waiting for what is it, 8 years? It's out in 2 weeks. Amazing. No pre-orders. Great. Very exciting. So, yeah, no, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect, as the meme goes. So, Mary Shelley was dealing with vampires. She had big problems. What comic book character would I like to write? I think, having done a teeny tiny amount of comic book writing, I think the only sort of big superhero I would say yes to is Batman, just because I love Batman. It's not that I don't love the other characters, but Batman is the only one that I love enough to put my own stuff on pause to do a little bit of. But even then, I don't know that I would commit to like stopping my own stuff to go do Batman for a year. I don't think it would be worth it. I think the thing about comic books is that they don't pay as well as my own stuff does at this point. And so as much as I love Batman, man, like it would behoove me to do my own stuff is the problem. I really am proud of that Thor story I did. I really enjoyed doing that. And I had vague ideas about what I could do more of with Thor if they asked me to, but they never did. And that was fine because, like I say, I'm happier doing my own stuff. I hope they're all right. But happier doing my own stuff. But it was really a privilege to get to know Steve and to work with Steve. And, yeah, Chris doesn't make more than Batman, but Christopher makes more than he would writing Batman. So what would I want from Team Cherry? Third Hollow Knight or something new? I'd be happy with anything. Those guys can do whatever they want. They can take as much time as they want. you know, there's a Hollow Knight YouTuber named Mossbag who made a joke about how long the game was, because there's an article, I think it was in like Bloomberg or something, where they interviewed Team Cherry, and it turned out the reason the game took so long is because they were just having a good time making it. And he said the game was literally stuck in development heaven, and I just laughed for like 5 minutes. I still laugh when I think about that line. It's so good, and it never happens, right? So I'm just so delighted, um, so delighted with both of those games, and I just want to do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it, and I'll wait. It's cool. So, um, yeah, if it's another thing in the same universe, that would be awesome. I love it. But I'm looking forward to the DLC, and I'll drop whatever I am, um, whatever I'm playing to play the DLC when it comes out. So, will I ever write a vampire book? Probably. And I know I've done more than 3 questions now, but so I'll wrap it up here in a second. Do I listen to music when I read? No. If I'm reading, I mostly do audiobooks, honestly. So I listen to the audiobook. And then I will do. Ooh, one more question. Oh, KC, a Mossbag fan. Epic. I knew I liked you. Look forward to meeting you at the gala in Raleigh. Likewise, it'll be great. Always show up right when these things are ending. It is quite late for me. If Brendan, if Elise were here, she would send me home. So I need to wrap it up too. Yeah, I am gonna play Hades 2 next. That's probably the next move. Because I already own it. Before anyone gets on me a bit Claire Obscure, I bought Hades 2 when it was in early access. And so I will play that probably next. But my heart will be with the little bug people. So, but last question then. Favorite Arkham game? Arkham City. Not even close. Arkham Knight can get right out of here with those Batmobile controls. No, thank you. Goodbye. Even getting Denethor to be Scarecrow was not enough to get me to finish that game. The Batmobile was an unplayable nightmare. I hated those controls. But Arkham City is perfect. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna wrap it up there, everybody. It was nice to see you again. I will be back very soon. I got the monthly update ready to roll basically for tomorrow. I have to edit it, but it's recorded, which is the hard part. So I'll see you on the update tomorrow. Anyway, until then, ladies and gentlemen, farewell.